thanks for all the hard work done on it. We've heard a great deal about the transitioning to American Heritage Railways, and I think it's great that Al Harper, the owner of American Heritage, could be here today, and Paul Schrank, who's the Vice President and General Manager, I believe, and John Kessler, who's the Business Manager, are here. And we thought it would be good if Al could tell us a little bit about, I think we all know a little bit about the DNS, but more so as what he envisions for as we move ahead with the Coomers and Hill.
You know, it's so refreshing to, at my age, to have somebody say, "You're the new guy." You know, I want to thank the Commission. It's really been an interesting last 90 days as we start working together and looking at the possibilities of what we can do here. I also, it's a lot of fun to see so many of you in the audience who are old friends, and to see a lot of new friends that I've made in the last 60 days, and hopefully some soon-to-be friends. So we have a great future. I particularly appreciate some old GMs, Kim and Dan, for helping me out, giving me some background, and surprised to see Marty Knox here, I've known for about 14 years. So it's good to see you, Marty. You know, I thought I'd do a little bit about what American Heritage is. I got into the railroad business full-time 14 years ago when I bought the Durango and Silverton narrow gauge railroad. It was a second career for me. I was in the real estate business, but I've been attached to railroading for about 30 years, working with the Florida East Coast Railroad, and served three tours as chair of the Tri-County Railroad owned by the state of Florida, which is a commuter railroad. I have an extreme interest in history. I think it's absolutely critical that we, as Americans, understand our past, both the good and the bad. Because by understanding your past, you know where you're going in the future, and hopefully you don't make the same mistakes, and you learn how to maintain the prosperity and improve the lot in life for all people. Our particular specialty is railroad history. I think railroads played a unique part in really pulling together this entire country from coast to coast. And to be able to be a part of the preservation of railroad history is one of the great noble purposes of my life. American Heritage Railway, just as some background, has 3 railroads now. We own the Durango and Silverton. We own the Great Smoky Mountain Railroad in North Carolina. And we own the Texas State Railroad down in Palestine. Those 3 railroads will carry approximately 500,000 riders. We also own a company called Rail Events. Rail Events is a company I created about 7 years ago. And what it is using a concept of Thomas the Tank and going out and buying the rights to stories from movie production companies and publishers. The purpose is strictly to give us brand names to attract families and children to our historic railroads. When I bought the railroads, I discovered as I rode the Durango and Silverton that I was the youngest guy on the train. Our market share of bringing in children is minuscule to where it needs to be if we want to see these great historic treasures prosper in the long term. We need families and children on our trains. And that inspired me to take the concept of Thomas the Tank and bring on the Little Engine That Could, the Peanuts characters, the Lone Ranger, and the most popular that we have is the Polar Express. Between Rail Events and our own excursion riders, we will now this year carry about 1 million passengers. That's a long ways from when I first bought the railroad. Now, a lot of people tease me a little bit. They always say, you want to make a small fortune, start with a large fortune and buy a tourist railroad. There's some truth to that. There is some truth to that. This is a rugged business, and a return on assets generally is 1 to 2%, which nobody in their right mind starts a business earning 1 to 2%, but that's about what it is. And one good rock slide wipes that out for a year or two. So. And I've experienced a number of rock slides. But I believe in what we do. My heart and passion is what we do. I recently was at the annual convention of railroad managers and operators in Chattanooga, Tennessee. There was about 400 people gathered for that event. About 200 came up and said, "Congratulations on taking over the Coombs Tow Tech." And another 200 came up and gave me condolences. But you know, I believe in what we're doing, and I believe in the potential of this railroad. The management company has set a very high standard. I can't congratulate them enough for what you've done, Elmer, you and the board and your people over the last 6 years. I rode this railroad about, first time, I'm going to say 12 years ago. And I'm not exaggerating, I was afraid. I was on a concession car, and I laugh about it now, but I was standing on the floor, and we'd kind of curve on the track, and it'd take the walls a little bit of time to catch up with the floor. And then we'd go back and forth, and I said, "Let's go get in a gondola, because I don't want to ride in the concession car." Your track and your equipment, in many instances, is better than what I have at the DS&G. And I congratulate you, because we consider ourselves a very good operator of railroads. So the management company's done great, and I think they should be congratulated. I also want to tell you, I appreciate, as we've tried to understand and learn better, so many people that have helped us out. Leo has been great. Leo is, we'll send him an email and say, "Hey, can you get some information on this?" And 20 minutes later, it's already coming back digitally. So Leo, thank you so much for all your cooperation and help. Marvin, you and your staff have been terrific. Your people have really filled us up in a lot of detail and helped us, given us a really good background. And we appreciate that, Marvin, for all that you did. And Stephen Flowers, somebody said, "What are you going to do with food service?" And I'm saying, "I'm going to chain Stephen to this railroad." Anybody that can produce the food in a remote location as you do, that's that quality, you're really to be commended, and we appreciate that. And I can't go without saying Roberta and Nick, and there's so many of you who've helped us out, and we appreciate that. You know, where do we go? I can't tell you I'm going to come in here and make a better track. You guys already have done a great job. And I can't tell you that suddenly there's a magic wand that Al Harvard American Heritage is going to change things. Because it doesn't happen like that. Not at all. What is going to happen, though, I'm going to bring you some vision. I'm going to bring you some new ideas of what we can do. This vision and this ideas is about ridership. I'm going to create interest by a vast audience. And my goal, you know, technically we said we'd do this over 5 years. My goal is 20,000 more riders within 24 months. That's the goal I've set for our people. That's what we're going to try to do. That probably isn't going to be excursion riders. You know, I always tease everybody, on the Durango and Silverton, I wish Silverton was where Cascade is, which is only halfway up the mountain. You know, you have a 10-hour experience. That's a tough experience for a family. So we need to figure that out. How do we make this child-friendly, family-friendly? And who are we going to attract? Well, I'm going after Grandma because she's got the money. So we want to build on Grandma. We want to build on Mom and Dad and their kids. So we need to present a product that will do that. So what kind of product are we going to do? We want to put Polar Express at Antonito next year. We think we can generate the first year, again, it's a goal, of 10,000 riders running to Lava and back. We think that's very doable. It's going to take some, first year we got to buy props and create the North Pole and those kinds of things. But we think we can do that. Why Antonito? Because your track stays open, there's not as much snow. It's really a simple answer. And we think it's an opportunity to create a great event on this end of the railroad that will really create some excitement and add to lengthening the schedule that we can operate. It'll make some changes. We need to have 2 engines on this end of the railroad next winter. So there's going to be some changes of how we do that. But I also think there's some great opportunities to do new things on the other end. And we've talked to various of the commissioners and some of the staff and Leo. We like the idea that you all started about the putting a pavilion at Cumbres. Cumbres is a great turnaround point. For relatively small capital dollars, we can run a train 1 hour out, have an hour-and-a-half event, run a train back, and now you have a 3.5-hour family event. We think that is the length of event that would prosper. So we like the pavilion that's going there. We've studied the locations. We want to rethink where it is positioned on that site. We want to put in a very simple amphitheater on the site that could seat 300. We wanted spaces for tents and bounce houses and those kind of things, because we think that should be a pumpkin patch. That should be a mariachi concert. That should be, who knows, maybe Contra Beetle robbed the train on the way there, who knows. But we like the Cumbres site, and we think we need to develop that site. I think it can be done very economically, and we have some ideas of how to fund that one.